Alright, so if you're a day one supporter of this channel, then you know the Pelicans are my team, and you're probably asking why have I not talked about the Pelicans at all? To keep it short, honestly, it's because I have no new thoughts or opinions on the Pelicans. DeJounte Murray played in one game, his stats look nice, I don't think he looked that great, but obviously we gotta see him as the season goes along. Misi looks great, that's one development I was not expecting. Trey Murphy is hurt, so obviously he will add a whole different dynamic to the team when he comes back. Herb Jones has kind of been looking lost out there, which is something you don't love to see. Herb Jones is the one we're supposed to know what we're getting from Herb every single night, and obviously he's still great on defense, but I thought he'd be making strides on offense. Instead, he might be reverting a little bit. Just 3 games into the year, not gonna make that declaration. So the surrounding parts have been a little bit intriguing, right? But the reason I have no new real thoughts on the Pelicans is because we all know what this comes down to still. Zion, Brandon Ingram playing together. Now, we could focus on them individually, but that's not really what I'm talking about, whether that's them changing their games or anything like that. Brandon Ingram shooting more threes. I think he took 5 threes, then 9 threes, then 2 threes. Is what it is. I'm not expecting anything crazy from BI this season. I'm expecting him to average about somewhere between 5 and 6 threes a game, and that's where he is right now, so I'm not too worried about that. At a later date, we can have a real conversation about Zion being in year 6 and not making any efforts to improve his game, really. Last year, he ended up begrudgingly took some mid-range jumpers. Hopefully that continues this year, but it hasn't so far. Only 2 games, and I understand he was sick. And I do relate, because if you guys can hear my voice right now, I am sick. So we'll give Zion a little bit of slack on the start to this year, but it hasn't looked great. Because even if they play exactly the way they want to play, if Brandon Ingram never takes a 3 and Zion never takes a midi, they can still operate together a lot better and a lot more than they do. And this really stood out to me in the first game against the Trailblazers. You guys are going to say I'm reaching, but I'm only making it a point of conversation because we've watched the last 5-6 years. They each made game-winning plays, even though Herb really got the block, but BI gets the jumper over Anthony Simons. Everybody goes over to greet BI, everybody but Zion. Now again, Zion's sick, maybe he's just going to the bench, catching his breath, whatever the case may be, but everybody on the court, everybody on the bench, going up there to hype up BI. Then Zion gets the game-saving block. Brandon Ingram is probably the closest guy to him. Does he go and dap up Zion? Nope, he turns to the bench, go celebrate with the bench. Now, again, on the surface, that is nothing. I'm not saying they hate each other. I'm just saying, as a Pelicans fan, wouldn't we like for those guys to interact a little bit more? Wouldn't we like for Zion to get a game-winning block and BI be the first guy there to hype him up? Again, you guys might say I'm reaching, but this is a video from the Pelicans Twitter account, and he daps up every single person on the team besides Zion. I'm not saying they hate each other. I'm saying they clearly aren't locked in the way you would want your 2 best players to be locked in. And I promise you, I would not care about this at all if it didn't show up watching the games. If you don't watch Pelicans games on a regular basis, it probably just seems like I'm talking, like I'm speculating, like I'm curating some narrative, but it's a real thing I've been talking about for years. And you would think as a coach, your main objective would be get your 2 best players to work together as much as possible. But the Pelicans do the opposite. And to a certain extent, I understand how it's easy for a coach to just want to stagger their 2 best players, but it's drastic. It's extreme with the Pelicans. And bringing in DeJounte doesn't necessarily help that. So to me, that's the main reason why I can't really take this team seriously, because through 2 games, it appears that that goal has not changed, or that goal is not their goal, right? The goal is not Zion and BI work together. It's still, we're gonna separate them all game, and then hopefully at the end of the game, they could just figure something out. Which is why they were a terrible second half team last year. They were terrible in the 4th quarter. And the Pelicans, I don't know if you guys know this stat. If you're a Pelicans fan, you know this stat. They were 0-25 last year, including playoffs, when they were going into the 4th quarter trailing. 0-25, because down the stretch of games, they have no idea what they want to do. Zion and Brandon Ingram have no idea how they want to run it, how they want to interact with each other, and it looks awful. Even the game winner BI hit, amazing shot, but the possession didn't really go anywhere. So yeah, that's what I need to see. I'm gonna try not to make too many Pelicans videos this year because I don't really have anything new to say. Again, I could talk about Herb, I could talk about Trey, I could talk about them as individuals, but as a team, I will not truly believe until I see Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson working together, communicating, and playing like a duo, not just two extremely talented players. But I'm still gonna watch, and if you watch my over-unders video, I locked in the Pelicans at over 46.5. I think they're gonna win a ton of games. I think they're gonna be a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams, but I'm talking about taking them serious as contenders. I think they will be the epitome of a regular season team, and it's funny because if you look at the profile, it seems like they shouldn't be, right? They have the guy that can get the mid-range go-to buckets in Brandon Ingram. They have another one in DeJounte Murray. They have another guy off the dribble that can create in CJ McCollum and can bomb from three. They have the all-world defender in Herb Jones. They have the interior presence in Zion. They don't really have a center, but Misi looks amazing. So I know I'm kind of setting myself up in a position where I can't lose, right? The only way I'm wrong is if the Pelicans win a championship. I know I'm putting myself in a very win-win position, but I'm well documented on how I feel about this team, how talented this team is. I just want to see it, bro. It's been 6 years. It's been 6 years. Can we get these two guys on the same page? Y'all remember last year when they were making a huge deal because Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson were shooting together on the court after practice? Which means they've only done that once in 6 years. I'm assuming they've only done it once because the Pelicans media made it a big deal. And I keep over explaining myself, but I know people are gonna point to certain duos, certain people that didn't necessarily get along and still managed to be dominant together on the court. The main example would be Shaq and Kobe. And my counterpoint is that's exactly what I'm saying. I wouldn't even care about their relationship if they were cohesive together on the court. I don't care if they're best friends off the court. I still don't care about that. But I do think it's indicative of what goes on the court. They play like two people that don't know each other at all. And it's been 6 years. I think that's a problem. And we gotta make it clear, it's not a can't thing, it's a don't thing. Because even, again, as I said earlier, even if both of them never took another jumper, they are both talented enough to figure something out. They both can pass, they both can get to the rim. In my eyes, there is really no excuse at all, but let me know in the comments, am I dragging it? We're at game 3, am I dragging it? You know what, don't tell me it's game 3 because it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years, it's not game 3. This channel started talking about the potential of this duo. That's how I got a following on this channel, talking about these two guys. So don't give me the 3 games. It hasn't been 3 games. It's been 6 years of waiting for these guys to be some type of duo on the court, and they operate independent of each other every single time. Even when they use each other in the actions, it's not really as a duo. So let me know in the comments down below if you feel like I'm dragging it. I'm gonna call it here. As you guys can hear, my voice is dying. I'm trying my best to put out videos, and it's not going well. I'm trying to fight through it. So please like, comment, subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.